Hello students, welcome back to Vidyalakshmi YouTube channel. This is Ajit Kumar, chemistry teacher, and I will be dealing you with grade 10 chemistry topics. In the previous video, we have started off with chemical reactions and equations chapter. If you haven't watched the video, link will be given in the description. Kindly watch it before you get into this video. So I'll just give a small recap what we have discussed in the previous video. We have just saw the introduction to this chapter regarding what is chemical reaction, what is chemical equation, what are the criteria involved in equations, for example, what is reactant, what is product. So these and all we have discussed, and then we came into the most important topic of balancing chemical equations. What is the need of balancing chemical equation, and then how to balance a chemical equation, and we have practiced certain problems also. So to be specific, in this video, we will be discussing about types of chemical reaction. So we know that there are certain chemical reactions which is happening in and around us, even inside our bodies also there are certain chemical reactions which is happening. So those chemical reactions are categorized into few types. So one among the few types have been listed in this chapter. So they are, one is combination reaction, next one is decomposition reaction, next displacement reaction, and then double displacement, and at the last redox reaction. So we will be studying each and everything, what is the process involved there, and what kind of reactants, what kind of products, and all we will be discussing in this types of reactions. So in this video specifically, we will be discussing about till double displacement reaction, and redox reaction we will be discussing in a separate video. So let us get into the video. So to begin with, first one, combination reaction. So you would have known the meaning of the word combination, or you can just learn it as combine. So combine means joining of two substances or mixing of two substances together. So with this you would have identified what kind of reaction is this, right? See, when two or more reactants combine to form a single product is called as combination reaction. So the criteria involved is it can involve any number of reactants, but the product formed will be just a single product, that too a new single product. So this is the condition involved in combination reaction. This is a model example given for you. Just for example, A is one of the reactant and B is one of the reactant. If these both reactants combine together, it is giving a single product called as AB. So this is how combination reactions will take place. So let us discuss some examples which involves this kind of combination reaction. First, calcium oxide. You know that calcium oxide is also called as quicklime. There are certain terms that we will be using, you just kindly note it down. Calcium oxide is called as quicklime. It reacts vigorously with water. Water is H2O. Okay, it reacts vigorously with water to produce a product called as calcium hydroxide, which is also known as slaked lime. So that is why I just mentioned, you just write this term separately. Calcium oxide is called as quicklime, whereas calcium hydroxide is called as slaked lime. So if you see this reaction, calcium oxide, it will be in solid state. H2O, you know, it will be in liquid state. And this calcium hydroxide which is formed here, it will be in aqueous state. Okay, so you see here, two reactants combines together to give a single new product. And this heat energy is also released in addition to the formation of that product. We will be discussing about it in the next slide. So you just coincide with this combination reaction. Just see, calcium oxide, which is called as quicklime, is reacting with water. It's another reactant. Together it is forming a compound called as calcium hydroxide, which is also called as slaked lime. In addition to that, it also releases heat energy. Okay, let us move on to the next slide. So, in the previous slide I have shown you that the reaction of calcium oxide with water gives calcium hydroxide. In addition, it produces some sort of heat energy. So, in a reaction, if heat energy is released, we term those reactions as exothermic reactions. Kindly make a note. The reactions in which heat energy, not only heat energy, any kind of energy, if it is released after the reaction has happened, that reaction is also called as exothermic reactions. To remember it easily, you can name it exo as releasing of energy. Okay, so how can we observe whether heat energy has released or not? So for that purpose, So the same reaction, I'm just considering it again. You just see calcium oxide, that is called as quicklime, is added to water in a beaker, and the reaction is happening. If you touch the beaker, you could feel that it would be somewhat hot. So with that, we can just predict or assume that heat energy has been released. So with this image, you will be able to easily recognize. So this is a container where the reaction is happening and the heat energy is getting released after the reaction. So few more examples have been given here for the exothermic reactions. You see, burning of natural gas. You know what is natural gas, right? Natural gas is methane, and the chemical formula of methane is CH4. Okay, so when methane is burnt in the presence of oxygen gas, it is producing carbon dioxide. In addition, it also releases some amount of water. With addition to that, it also releases a huge amount of heat energy. Then respiration, you know respiration process well. Glucose molecules, when it reacts with oxygen, it produces carbon dioxide, water, and it also produces some sort of energy, and that is also called as physical energy. Okay, so these are all certain examples of exothermic reactions. Now we will get back to the combination reaction. So here, burning of coal. You know, coal is completely made up of what element? Carbon, right? So when carbon is burnt in the presence of oxygen, it tends to form carbon dioxide gas. So just see what is the condition required for combination. 2 or more reactants combine to form a single product. So this is a combination. And then formation of water. When hydrogen gas is passed with oxygen gas, it forms water. So 2 reactants tends to form a single new product. So this also comes under combination. And then there is one more interesting fact regarding this calcium hydroxide. Just now we discussed calcium hydroxide, we call it as slaked lime, right? So this slaked lime is what used for applying whitewash to the walls. You would have known already. So when this is applied to the walls, this calcium hydroxide compound, it reacts with carbon dioxide which is present in the atmosphere. So what will happen with this calcium hydroxide, that is so called slaked lime, reacts with carbon dioxide? It tends to form a new compound called as calcium carbonate. CaCO3 is nothing but calcium carbonate, and the name given to calcium carbonate is limestone. Okay, you would have observed after whitewashing, after 2 to 3 days, you could see a bright white on the walls, and that is due to the formation of this compound called as calcium carbonate, which is also called as limestone. So don't get confused between these terms. CaO, calcium oxide, is called as quicklime. Okay, and then calcium hydroxide, which is an aqueous state, we call it as slaked lime. And then calcium carbonate, CaCO3, we call this as limestone. And this limestone is also present in marbles, stones also. Okay, so just make a note of this. Calcium oxide quicklime, calcium hydroxide slaked lime, and calcium carbonate is called as limestone. Okay, so that's it about combination reaction. Next, we'll move on to the next type of reaction. Decomposition reaction. So this decomposition reaction is straight away opposite to that of combination reaction. By seeing the model example itself, you would have already guessed what is it. In combination, 2 or more reactants combine to give a single product. In the opposite manner, in decomposition, a single reactant decomposes in the sense it breaks down to form several products. This is what we call it as decomposition. You just follow the lines. When a single reactant breaks down to give simpler products, then the reaction is called as decomposition reaction. You just keep in mind, combination, it combines to give a single product. In decomposition, one reactant, it breaks down to give several products. This is what is like, you can compare and study combination and decomposition. So to deal with this decomposition, we have 3 kinds of decomposition reaction. One is thermal decomposition, and next one is electrolytic, and the third one is photochemical decomposition reaction. So the next part of this video, we are going to discuss what is thermal decomposition, what is electrolytic decomposition, and what is photochemical decomposition reaction. Okay. So to begin with thermal decomposition reaction, you would have known the meaning of the word thermal. Thermal in the sense heat, okay, supplying heat energy. Okay, so you know what is decomposition? We are going to break down the compounds. So by supplying heat energy, we are going to break down the compounds, and that is what is called as thermal decomposition reaction. So when a decomposition reaction is carried out by heating, then it is called as thermal decomposition reaction. So just one example we'll just discuss here. Decomposition of ferrous sulfate, FeSO4 dot 7H2O. This is called as water of crystallization. You will be studying in detail about this in second chapter. As for now, you just know that ferrous sulfate is attached with 7 molecules of water. When this is heated, in the beginning, these 7 molecules of water will get evaporated. In the beginning, this ferrous sulfate will be pale green in color. Okay, when the heating process starts, these water molecules will be evaporated and the color changes from pale green to white, and the chemical formula will be FeSO4. This is white in color. Okay, now further decomposition, further if you are heating this substance, this ferrous sulfate decomposes to form iron oxide, sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. So this formula, you should not get confused. Fe2O3. I'll just make you clear regarding this. We know that iron is having 2 valencies. Okay, one is valency as 2 and the other one is valency as 3. You know swap method, right? So Fe and oxygen, if iron with the valency 2 is reacting, so valency 2, if we swap, you will get the formula as FeO. Whereas if you take the valency as 3 and 2. So if you just swap Fe2O3. This is called as ferric oxide. The compound which is formed with higher valency, we give the suffix as Ic. Okay, and the lower valency we give it as ferrous, OUS. Okay, so this is called as ferrous oxide, whereas this is called as ferric oxide. So in this reaction, ferrous sulfate, when it is decomposed, it tends to form ferric oxide in addition to form sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. So you could see the image which is given there. We are just heating these crystals and it gives out the gas, and the ferrous sulfate crystals are being heated here. Okay, so this is just an example of thermal decomposition reaction. We'll just move on to the other types of reaction now. Next, few more examples of thermal decomposition. Decomposition of limestone. Just now we discussed what is limestone. So when limestone is being heated, it tends to form calcium oxide. What is calcium oxide? Yes, it is quicklime. In addition to that, it also evolves carbon dioxide gas. Next, decomposition of lead nitrate. You can see this in this video also. See the lead nitrate, when it is heated, it tends to form lead oxide plus nitrogen dioxide plus oxygen gas. So you just understand that in decomposition reaction, a single reactant decomposes or breaks down to form several other new products. Okay. Next, we'll move on to the next type of decomposition reaction. Electrolytic decomposition reaction. You would have known by the word electrolytic. Yes, it is. This reaction is going to be carried out by supplying electric current, right? When a decomposition reaction is carried out by passing electric current, then this reaction is called as electrolytic decomposition reaction. So just a small example, when water taken in a container, if current is being passed to it, it tends to form or break down as hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. So this you will be studying in detail when you come to third chapter under the topic called as electrolysis. Okay. Next, the other type of decomposition reactions are photochemical decomposition reactions. So far we have seen decomposition carried out by supplying heat energy and then carried out by electric current. The next kind of decomposition is photochemical, which is done by passing light energy to a compound. Okay, so you just follow the lines. When light energy is used for decomposition or breaking of a complex substance into the simpler substances, then that reaction is called as photochemical decomposition reaction. So just a few examples I have just included here for photochemical. The very known example is silver chloride and silver bromide. When these compounds are passed by the sunlight, it tends or it breaks down to form silver. In addition to that, it also forms chlorine gas. In the same way, when silver bromide is when sunlight passes into this compound, it decomposes to form silver as well as bromine gas. So this is just decomposition reactions and types. So if you have observed in all the three types of decomposition reactions, either heat energy is absorbed, or either electric current is absorbed, or either light energy is absorbed. So the reactions where energy is being absorbed and then it is carried out, those kind of reactions we call it as endothermic reactions. In the previous manner, in the previous case, combination reactions, we came to know that energy is being released. But in case of decomposition reaction, the energy is being absorbed, only then the reaction can proceed. So the decomposition reactions require energy either in the form of heat, light or electricity for what purpose? It is for breaking down the reactant. Okay. So the reaction in which such kind of things happen is, we call it as endothermic reactions. In combination, you would have seen the arrow marks will be away from the beaker. In the endothermic, you just see energy is being absorbed, only then the reaction can proceed. Okay. So that's it with decomposition reaction. The next thing we are going to see is displacement reaction. So you would have known already what is displacement. Displace in the sense replacing a substance or a compound. Okay. So there is a criteria, not all the substances can replace the other substance or the reactants. There is a criteria where displacement will happen, the more reactive element or the more reactive metal will displace the less reactive element or a metal. So that is what we call it as displacement reaction. If you see this diagram, there is a reactant AB reacting with a reactant called C. This is in a combined state and this is in a free state. Okay. Now in this reaction, you could see this reactant C is more reactive than B. So it displaces to form BC and A. This is what we call it as displacement reaction. Before getting into the displacement reaction, we have to be thorough with reactivity series. Only then we can find whether which metal will displace the other metal. So I'll just show you the reactivity series. You have to be thorough with that. Only then you will be able to find the reactions will proceed or not. So this is a reactivity series. It is arranged in the order of decreasing order. The most reactive metal is potassium, and then the sodium, calcium comes, and then magnesium, aluminum, carbon, zinc, iron, tin, lead, hydrogen, copper, silver, gold and platinum. So the least reactive metal is platinum and the most reactive metal is potassium. So if you know this, you will be able to predict whether the reaction will happen or not. Next, an example given for a displacement reaction. If you see here, iron reacts with copper sulfate. So this is a reactant which is in independent state, whereas here the copper metal is being in a combined state in the form of copper sulfate, which is in aqueous form, and iron is in the solid form. Or you can say here, I am taking copper sulfate solution. You know, copper sulfate will be blue in color. Okay. Copper sulfate will be blue in color. To that, I am just dipping a iron nail. So do you think the reaction will happen? Yes, we have to check on the reactivity series. If you just see the reactivity series, iron will be top than the copper at. So iron, since it is most reactive than copper, it will tend to displace copper from copper sulfate solution. So if it displaces copper from its position, iron will combine with sulfate and form as iron sulfate, and copper, since it is sent out, it will be coming in an independent state as copper atom. So how can we predict whether the displacement reactions are happened or not? By seeing itself, we can just predict. How is, if you see here, before the reaction, copper sulfate is blue in color and I have dipped the iron nail. If you see after the reaction, the blue color of the solution has been turned into a pale green kind of color. So with this, we can assume whether the reactions are happened or not. So mainly for displacement reaction, we can assure the reaction has happened or not by seeing the color change. This is what displacement reaction only. Okay. So here iron has displaced copper from copper sulfate solution and has formed iron sulfate plus copper. Since iron is more reactive than copper. So this is the major thing required in displacement reaction. Kindly don't forget, only the most reactive metal will displace less reactive metal. If you see the reactivity series again, I'll just show you the order. See, potassium, sodium, calcium, the order goes like this. If you see, calcium can displace magnesium. Magnesium can displace aluminum. Aluminum can displace carbon. Carbon can zinc. Iron can displace tin. Lead can displace hydrogen. Whereas, if you go in the top order, sodium cannot displace potassium. Whereas, magnesium cannot displace calcium. Carbon cannot displace aluminum. Or hydrogen cannot displace lead. The reason is, according to displacement reaction, only the most reactive metal will displace the less, whereas the less reactive metal will not be having sufficient energy to displace the most reactive metal, since it will be strongly bonded to the compound, and this less reactive metal will not have enough energy to break that bond and to displace it out of that solution. So this is the reason why less reactive metals will not displace most reactive metal. Okay. And then, so we have just seen what is displacement reaction. Few other examples are also given for displacement reaction. You could see in that image also, magnesium is reacting with silver nitrate. It is silver nitrate. Since magnesium is most reactive than silver, this magnesium displaces silver out of that solution. So this is what we just understand it as displacement reaction. Okay. The other examples are zinc, when it reacts with copper sulfate. If you see the reactivity series, zinc will be more reactive than copper, so it tends to form zinc sulfate plus copper. In the same way, when lead reacts with copper chloride, it forms as lead chloride plus copper, because both the zinc and lead is more reactive than copper. So it displaces out of that solution and forms a new product. Okay. So this is about the displacement reaction. The next thing that we are going to say is double displacement reaction. Both displacement and double displacement are somewhat familiar to each other, but there is a small difference between each other. In that, if you have seen, there would have been AB plus C, whereas here it is AB plus CD. In both the case, both the reactants, the metals is in a combined state. It is in the form of metal salts. Okay, so AB plus CD, you just see here, the products formed are AD and CB. There is a change, right? The reason is, this metal or this D is being attached here and B goes to this place. That is why it is forming as AD and CB. We will discuss with examples regarding this. Before that, we just see the definition here. The reactions in which there is an exchange of ions between the reactants, those reactions we call it as double displacement reactions. Why the word double comes here is, since two ions are getting displaced here, this reaction is termed as double displacement reaction. We will just discuss the examples now. You see here, sodium sulfate, it is one of the reactant, and then barium chloride. Sodium sulfate is reacting with barium chloride. Here if you see sodium and barium, both are the metals, it will form as Na plus ion and this will form as Ba2 plus ion. These two ions are getting displaced in their respective solutions. So see what happens, sodium displaces barium and barium comes into the position of sodium. So it forms as barium sulfate plus sodium chloride. So since two ions are being displaced here, this reaction is called as double displacement reaction. And there is a point to be noted here, this barium sulfate which is formed in this reaction, it is formed as a precipitate. So we have to know what is a precipitate, right? Precipitate is nothing but when two solutions are mixed together, there will be a formation of insoluble solid substance in that reaction, and that is what we call it as precipitate. If you see here, sodium sulfate is reacting with barium chloride, these two solutions are mixed together and you can spot an insoluble substance here, and that substance is called as precipitate. Here the barium sulfate is formed as a white colored precipitate. So you just note that precipitate is nothing but when two oppositely charged ionic solutions are mixed together. For example, here it is sodium sulfate and barium chloride. If it is mixed like together, there will be a formation of insoluble solid substance, and that is what we call it as a precipitate. So this reaction can also be called as precipitation reaction. So most probably you will come to know this kind of precipitation reactions in double displacement reactions. Okay, so in this video we have seen the types of chemical reactions like combination reaction, decomposition. In decomposition there are three types. What is that? Thermal, and then electrolytic, and then photochemical decomposition. And then we have come into the topic of displacement. Know that for displacement reaction, reactivity series must. Only then you will be able to predict whether the reaction will occur or not. If you are thorough with displacement reaction, the double displacement will be more easy for you. Okay, students. So with this, we will end this video with these topics. The next topic, redox reaction, and there are certain more topics in the first chapter. We will be discussing that in the next video. Okay, so if you like this video, if you have got the knowledge, you just kindly share to your friends also, so that let them also gain some knowledge. Meanwhile, we will see in the next video. Thank you, students. Bye.